We see Hutch Mansell, his face bruised and battered, his hands cuffed, lighting a cigarette and feeding his cat. When two officers ask who he is, he says he's nobody. We see Hutch's ordinary days, working out, going to work, returning home, trying to take out the trash. Then, the days repeat themselves, and Hutch lives his life with his family in this cycle, and that's where our story ends. Just kidding. One night, unable to sleep, he checks on his son and daughter one by one. When he sees masked men entering their house, he grabs a golf club. Just as he's about to call the police, burglars stop him and demand his money. Hutch sees one of the burglars' tattoo. At that moment, his son jumps on one of them. Just as Hutch is about to attack with the club, he stops and tells his son to let the man go. The burglars quickly flee, and his son is furious with Hutch. As Hutch stares blankly at the thieves' method of entry, a police officer approaches him. He, Hutch's child, and his wife all look at him with disappointment at his passiveness, just like he is a piece of shit. Hutch can't sleep and goes down to the living room. His daughter, who also can't sleep, comes to him and says she wants to have a cat. The next day, Hutch goes through his routine again. When his son says he needs to interview a veteran for his homework, our wimp suggests his son's uncle or grandfather instead. His son gets angry, but agrees. His wife repeats that he missed the garbage truck as if the man didn't know, and as if taking pity on her husband, she gives him some of her coffee. When Hutch is alone, he snaps and throws the omelet in the trash. Postscript: the sucker can't even do that. His neighbor tells him he wishes the burglars had chosen his house so that he would kick their asses. He then shows him his new car. Our guy looks completely all sorts of fucked and goes to work to repeat his routine. His wife's brother, Charlie, comes in, gives him a gun, and tells him to keep his sister safe after what happened. Hutch puts the gun in the refrigerator. Then his wife's father, Eddie, runs into him, and we learn that Hutch wants to buy the workplace from him. He tries to get back to work, but can't focus, so he grabs a drink and listens to music on the radio. He then tells his stepbrother, Harry, he speaks via the radio what happened during the robbery. He even mentions the model of the gun, and tells that he didn't do anything to the robbers because their guns were unloaded. He goes to visit his father in the nursing home. When he returns home, he sees his son's cold demeanor again. When his daughter tells him the thieves took her kitty cat bracelet, he becomes enraged and leaves the house. He goes to his father and retrieves the items he had hidden in his closet. We see that his father was a former FBI officer. He wakes up and tells his son to do what he needs to do. Hutch goes to a series of tattoo shops, asking if they know the tattoo he saw in the thieves, but neither shop yields any results. When he goes to a third shop, the owners realize the badge he's showing is old and take a tougher line on him. However, one of them chickens out when he sees the tattoo on Hutch's wrist, runs away, and locks the door. The others, seeing his fear, retreat. Hutch asks about the tattoo.
When he goes to the thieves' house, he kicks the man in the head with his gun and demands his watch. He then demands his kitty cat bracelet. But when the thieves say they don't know what it is, Hutch gets angrier and knocks the man to the ground. Just as he's about to shoot him, he hears a baby crying. When he sees them begging for mercy, he goes out and punches the wall in anger. Drunk thugs who crash their car get on the bus he was using to return home and begin harassing passengers. They then gather around a girl and harass her. Hutch forces the driver out of the car and closes the door. He tells the thugs he'll fuck them up, empties his gun, and begins fighting. After initially taking a few blows, he returns and defeats one with his elbow and another with his fist. He counterattacks the others with a bottle they hold. He hits one's head on a pole, kicks another between the legs, breaks the arm of a knife attacker, and punches another who stabs him. He's punched by one. While trying to restrain two people, he's kicked down. He pulls the knife out of his stomach and puts the watch on his fingers. He stabs and punches one thug, tries to strangle one with a rope, and stabs and kicks another in the knee, but they all join forces and throw him out the window. Some of the thugs' teeth are broken and some have broken noses. Hutch wakes up, returns to the bus, and cuts the seatbelt. After waiting for the girl to leave, he begins stabbing the thugs in the stomach, throat, and knee. He hangs one of them with a bag while the other reaches for a gun. He sees that and violently strikes him with a bus pole, knocking him to the ground. To prevent the thief from drowning, he drills a hole in his throat and inserts a straw. He gets out and tells the driver to excuse him for the mess.
When he returns home, bruised and injured, his wife sees him and treats his wounds. Hutch tells his wife that they haven't been together for a long time and that he misses her. Becca removes the pillow she places between her and her husband at night. Yulian Kuznetsov, a mafia leader, quickly gets out of his car, walks carelessly down the street, and enters a club. He snorts drugs, takes a drink, and then goes on stage to dance, sing, and greet everyone. Then, as he approaches other mafia leaders to discuss business, he sees one of them glaring at him. The other mafia members find Julian's dancing and singing inconvenient for their business. Hearing this, Julian gets enraged, breaks his glass, repeatedly strikes the glaring man, cuts his face, slams his head on the table and slashes his throat. As the other men try to calm the situation, Julian's phone rings. Julian's brother is one of those beaten on the bus, and he goes to the hospital with his assistant, Pavel. Angrily, he tries to find out who did it and goes to ask his brother's friends. When he learns that only one man did it, he flies into a rage and begins attacking the men. He learns that one of them took Hutch's card. Hutch now goes about his routine more happily and prepares breakfast for his family. When he answers the phone, he learns from his brother that one of the people on the bus is Yulian Kuznetsov's brother, but he doesn't pay much attention. He goes to work as usual. His brother warns him again via text, telling him to go see the barber, which Hutch finally accepts to do. The barber had prepared his file in advance, knowing he would ask about Julian. Hutch learns that Julian has powerful connections and a hobby of collecting art. Meanwhile, Julian's men are blackmailing Pentagon employees to gather information about Hutch.
Hutch, in turn, learns that Julian is the one protecting the money belonging to the Russian mafia. When Julian's employee learns Hutch's classified true identity, she flees in fear. While having dinner with his family, Hutch sees that Julian's men have found him. He quickly takes his family to the basement, kisses his wife, and tells them not to call 911. As soon as he turns off the house lights, the attackers turn on their lights and break in. He knocks 2 people down with a baseball bat, stabbing one of them. He takes a kitchen knife and kills one, stabs another in the stomach, and takes his gun. After killing one man, he slaps Pavel, who attacks him, with a plate, and then smothers another who jumps on him with boiling water and hits him in the head with a teapot. He then attacks one who is spraying him with bullets and shoots another. However, the handrails are broken, and he falls to the ground, where he is finally knocked unconscious by a taser. He is then thrown into the trunk of a car and driven away. Hutch breaks his finger, frees himself from the handcuffs, and looks for his whereabouts. He grabs the fire extinguisher and sprays it inside the car, causing a crash. When he goes to retrieve the handcuff keys, he tells Pavel he's never seen a black Russian before and starts talking. However, when he sees the man dead, he runs away. He calls his father and tells him to be careful. When he turns on the house lights, he sees himself among the mess. He takes a quick shower and takes his family outside, covers his daughter's eyes, and tells his wife to take the children to a safe place while he sorts this out.
He pulls out gold from his belongings, turns on music, and talks to the wounded men while drinking. He tells them that he previously executed a man who stole military money, but this time, believing the man was remorseful, he secretly let him go. When he went to check on him a year later, he saw that he had started a family. We learn that Hutch left his job out of envy for him, and that he too had started his family like that. He eventually finds his daughter's kitty cat bracelet and sets the house on fire to destroy all evidence. He takes his neighbor's car and drives off at high speed. Meanwhile, Julian's men go to execute Hutch's father, but David suddenly opens his eyes, blocks one of the men's trigger with his finger, and shoots them both in turn. The officer, awakened by the noise, thinks the sound is coming from the television and tells David to turn the volume down. He gives all his gold and wants to take over the workplace, but when his brother-in-law refuses and tries to attack him, he stuns him and reaches an agreement with his father-in-law. After watching the news of his men's death, Julian calls someone and says he needs more men. Meanwhile, Hutch, who has closed the workplace, prepares bombs and sets traps. After finishing his work, he contacts his brother Harry by radio and tells him he has no choice, turns off the radio, and drives off. As Julian sings, Hutch goes to the place where they keep the mafia money, shooting first a man at the door, then the security guards that are guarding the money. As Julian continues his song, Hutch uses the bombs to blow up the area, grab one of the paintings, and spray the area with bullets, taking down anyone in his path. He pours gasoline into the firefighting system, burns all the money in the building, along with the bodies.
Meanwhile, we continue listening to Julian's harrowing, awful song.
After finishing his show, Julian approaches Hutch, who has come to watch him. Seeing him holding a bomb, he tells his men to leave. Hutch tells him he's burned all his money, saying they're now even. They can forget everything and leave it behind, or they can go ahead and finish this. He then walks out, carrying the bomb, past the men, gets in his car, and waits. Seeing Julian running out in a mad frenzy, he steps on the gas. He narrowly escapes a bullet fired at him by Julian, but he has to maneuver to avoid even more. He lies down to avoid another approaching vehicle, reverses his car by holding the rearview mirror, straightens up when he reaches the street, and continues his escape. He goes straight to his workplace, but is shot in the shoulder as he tries to get inside. He is trapped, but his brother Harry comes to his aid through the upper window and repulses the men back. His father then arrives and lets Hutch in. He talks to his father, and when the men appear, they neutralize them and continue their advance. When more men arrive, Hutch activates the press and explodes the bomb. Harry shoots one of the men and leads the others after him, luring them into another trap. He shoots one of them at a different location, blocks the gun of another, struggles with two, stabs one, and shoots another without even looking. The bastard sends 3 men back to their grandmothers with a single bullet. He lures another man into the trap and throws him out the window with the setup.
Meanwhile, David, delighted by his return after a long absence, destroys one man after another. After shooting several, Hutch enters a room and activates another trap. He exits the door and begins repulsing the men, taking them all down. He uses one as a shield, kills 2, then runs to the refrigerator and, taking out the gun his father-in-law had given him, kills another man. He sets up a trap and fires iron bars at 2 men. David takes out a couple of men with his shotgun before dropping a bomb on them. We then see David, Harry, and Hutch continue firing. Hutch throws a gun at Harry, who has run out of ammunition, and the 3 continue the fight back to back. Julian approaches from behind and shoots Harry in the back. They all retreat to a corner and hide, running out of ammunition. As Julian rants and fires, Hutch tapes one of the bombs to the back of a bulletproof window and runs at Julian. As he approaches, he pulls the trigger with his mouth, creating an explosion. They're both thrown aside, but Julian is the one who is fucked up. Hutch, Harry, and David gather around. Hutch thanks them and, hearing the sound of police sirens, tells them to leave. He calls his wife Becca and leaves her a voicemail. He then rescues a cat stuck in a pipe and takes the painting with him to wait for the police. Then we return to the scene from the beginning of the story, where Hutch tells the police interrogating him that he's nobody. Then both their phones ring. Hutch continues smoking with his balls made of concrete that has the weight of King Kong.
We go to 3 months. Hutch and his wife are looking at a new house, and the real estate agent's phone rings. The woman hands it to Hutch and says that it's for him. After speaking on the phone, both Hutch and his wife ask the agent if the house has a basement, and the story ends here. Well, as a post-credit scene, we see Harry and David driving away in a vehicle full of weapons, and Harry tells David about the one shot he made and killed 3 people with, but cannot convince him of its realness.